Do I have to be promoted to host? I'm not host to panel.
No, not yet. I will in a moment.
Maybe host, yeah.
I'm going to promote Matt to host, and then he'll distribute the hosting duties. Okay, Matt, you're host.
Got it.
And it's recording on Zoom and should be streaming live on YouTube. So whenever you want to then pass it off to give Ren and Fred host, that'd be great.
And we're all done, ready to go.
Okay, well, why don't we open the meeting here at 6:31? And how many members of the public do we have here? It looks like two. Oh, Mark is here, by the way. Looks like we have 3 people from members of the public.
Am I a member of the public or a panelist?
You're a panelist, Tess.
Okay.
You might need to promote her again. I promoted her once, and she's still showing up as attendee.
Okay, and
Yeah,
Mark is also as attendee, I was showing as well.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
With that, and who else? It's Bob, right?
Bob, yes, Matt, thanks.
Mark Stephenson is still an attendee. He should be promoted.
Mark should be promoted. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And Lee is still appearing in the attendees too. I don't know why, but
Yeah, it takes him a long time. I've worked 3 times. I've tried to get that
Yeah.
moved over, and
I can hear
I'll
him.
try again.
Okay, so let's do our roll call.
Yep.
And here we go. Ren Blight.
Here.
Here. Okay. Fred Iberry here. Tess Taylor
Here.
here. Okay. We see some sort of moon on your video, Tess. I don't know if that's perfect or not, but that's what we see. Mark Stephenson.
Stevenson, and I'm here. Hey, Fred, how are
Okay,
you?
I think he's correcting me. Okay, Mark Stevenson. Ron Babini.
Here.
Here. Robert Scabelli.
Here.
Here. Matt Kamen.
Here.
Lee Jameson.
Try to move him over.
I
He's
just
still
did.
in attendees, but it might be hard.
Anyway,
Should I mark Lee's here
He's here. He spoke up earlier.
or okay, Lee's here. Brandon Whalen
Here.
is here. Okay, terrific. So everybody's here. I just want to remind everyone who's calling in with a phone number to press *9 to raise your hand if you'd like to speak as a member of the public. *9 if you don't have the raise your hand symbol. With that, we will move on to item number 3, which is our minutes from the February 14th meeting. And do I have a first to motion to approve the minutes? Ren is raising his hand. Okay, Ren is first. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Bob second it. And any discussion?
Tiny point of order. I know. Were the minutes included with the documents for the meeting? Because all I saw was Brandon's letter of proposed conditions.
The minutes were emailed last night.
Okay, all right,
Mhm.
got it.
Sorry, with Brandon has his hands up. I just want to say in the future, I'm going to try to get minutes to you guys a lot sooner.
I don't have that, but I have a camera, Zoom. Should I hit the camera for
Hey,
video?
Lee, if you could go on mute, that would be great. Or Matt, you can do
Yes,
that.
I know.
please. And Brandon, if you want to speak. Matt,
If we don't have to do like a friendly amendment, maybe to remove joint general board on the top.
yes, I saw that. The title of the old paperwork is incorrect.
Yeah, so just a simple revision.
Ren, can you make a note of that, please? Just to change the title.
In the past, we've been asked to be called joint general board meeting anytime you have 4 or more members of the
Oh, interesting.
GTLNC full board on a committee, then it has to be both a joint general board meeting and a committee meeting. Colby, is that still operating? Do you know?
Colby, you're muted.
That's the guide. Yeah, Ren, I believe that's correct. That's the guidance we received from Dunn. But we were trying, I believe we addressed this, which in our, and Tess, you can probably correct me, in the new bylaws. Is that correct? Which are not in effect yet. So
Yeah, it is being addressed, but as to whether this should be a joint general board planning and land, it depends on how many board members were also committee members at the time of the meeting. And I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And there was a total of 9 people. So I believe, Ren, correct me if I'm wrong. I think Brandon is right. I think that we could eliminate the joint general board.
We've got 5.
No, at the time of the minutes, there were 4 elected board members on the committee out of 9.
Oh, I see. So okay, I get it. You're not talking about our heading for tonight. You're talking about the heading for that particular meeting.
For that meeting. And since there's
Yes.
15, what is a quorum of quorum? So 8 would be a quorum. You know what? Actually, I reversed myself. I believe it would still be appropriate, Brandon, to have the joint general board, because 4 is over the limit.
Sounds good. Never mind.
All right, but thank you.
Okay, so does that include that should be the same for tonight's meeting and going forward, or how? Yes, okay, so that,
it's like a catch-all for this situation.
all right, so that wording should remain from here on out. Okay. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go for a vote. This is to approve the GTLNC February 14th, 2022 Plum Committee minutes. Ren Blight,
Yes.
Matt Kamen,
Yes.
Mark Stevenson,
Yes.
Fred Iberry, yes. Robert Scabelli,
Yes.
Brandon Whalen. Brandon?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Ron Babini.
Yes.
Okay, Lee Jameson. Hello, Lee. Can you hear us?
I can't figure out how to move him, and I've allowed him to talk, so it's not.
Lee, can you unmute yourself? Okay, we'll skip Lee for now. Tess Taylor.
Yes, and I would ask that the pagination be condensed perhaps for future meeting minutes. And once again, I volunteer myself to help with that if needed. Thank you.
That'd be terrific, Tess. Thank you. And one last time, Lee
I'll
Jameson.
see right now, see if he picks up.
Okay. Lee, if you can hear us, unmute yourself.
He should probably just hang up and come back in again. That might be easier.
Okay. And as far as this vote's concerned, I guess I'll just wait a few minutes. Looks like Colby's talking to him. There's Mark. Hello, Mark. I like the color of your shirt.
Can you? I didn't know that you
Thought
could.
I would brighten it up tonight, huh?
I like that. And Tess,
And you did.
great color too.
You complimented me on my colors, Fred.
I did. No, your color shirt's very nice. You and Mark get the award. And for whatever reason, your video is like the most clear on my screen. Everyone else is kind of blurry, but you
Okay.
two must have really high quality cameras. So,
Is Lee, no,
We can see Lee on the screen, but he's muted and I don't hear him. I don't see him. Even if he wants to show his video, can he like give
He
us
could
the
raise
thumbs
a, he could raise a hand, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Lee's
Yeah,
having
Lee-
trouble. Maybe Lee should call in on the phone.
Okay.
And do it that way. Might be easier.
Can you give him the phone number, Colby?
Yeah, I have a phone number. Let me ask him. Let me ask him.
Should I excuse him from this vote here or move on or wait? Excuse him? We're gonna pass it anyway, so.
Yes. It's
Yeah, it's gonna pass anyway. So yeah, just, we'll put him as a,
I put him excused, and then the vote, or yeah, okay, excused, I guess, that'd be abstain, right? So the vote, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yeses, 0 no's, 1 abstain. So the motion carries. Okay, next section, public comment. And I'm gonna hand it over to Matt now. If there's anyone from the public that'd like to speak, you've got 3 minutes. There you go.
Jonathan, what I'm going to do, by the way, is at your 2-minute mark, I'm going to give you a 1-minute warning. That way, this should be really easy for everybody. All right, Jonathan, you got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. I'd like to just talk first about the organization of the meeting. I'm appreciative for all the work that goes into it, because clearly it takes work to create the agenda. What I'd like to point out is that the meeting minutes notes are not posted on the website for the stakeholders. I think you're aware of that based on what Fred just said. The second thing is that the document called conditions of the for developers, I think it says housing or something like that on the title. That was saved in Word. So if stakeholders don't have Word, haven't purchased Word, it should be saved in PDF. So anyone can open it up without having to purchase Word. The next thing on your agenda for tonight, I think it needs a little bit more invested energy, because I've asked you to create a log of your projects so that you have a formal name of every project. Projects have all the same projects go by multiple names. For example, TOC is a project. You're referring to it as 10057 Riverside Drive. You're referring to it as, I think it's called the corner of Mariota. You're referring to it as Gelson's. You're referring to it as a lot of different things, and you don't have a proper name for it so that everyone's on the same page speaking the same language. That's a problem. The next thing that on the agenda is there's items that just have an address and they don't say what the essence is, what the purpose is of it. There's also one called, it just says street trees. So it should say, what about them? When you have an agenda item, it's supposed to be, what is it and what's the point? What's the purpose? And that isn't thought through yet. And I'm asking you to take a look at the agenda before you finalize it so that anyone, a stakeholder looking at it, knows what's going to get discussed. The last thing is, on the last meeting, we have a reliance on one of the board members to run the Zoom. And I think he left before the end of the meeting because you were discussing the issue about stakeholders wanting to build walls. And I would have liked to invite you to take a look at their applications at the time, because they were referring to over and over again a lot of their feelings for lacks of security while at home. But I wasn't able to do that because whoever was running the Zoom left the meeting, I presume, because nobody was running it for the last 20 to 25 minutes. And if we have a reliance on a board member to run the Zoom, then that board member should at very minimum let us know when they're leaving. Thank you very much.
I don't see any other hands, so I think we're okay.
Okay, that's fine. And just really quick, I probably don't even need to comment, but in all fairness, John, that's my fault. Matt did tell me he was leaving early, and I thought I was managing the meeting. So I'm sorry if I missed you on your last comment last time, but it was not Matt's fault. That he did let me know he was leaving. So sorry about that.
Fred and Colby, Fred and Ren, can we create just a list of these projects as Jonathan has suggested? Because he's right, and I think that would be helpful for the committee members as well.
I totally agree. And on this new agenda, like we have started that. So you'll see that, the list of projects is good. And we'll definitely elaborate on, the wording and have it all formatted the same and streamlined. So absolutely agree with you 100%.
All right.
Regarding the 10057 through 1063 / 4508 North Mariota, we actually thought very hard about that when we put this on the agenda, because some of the application is 10057, some of the application is 1063, and some of the application is 4508 or 4508 North Mariota, and there was no there's 3 or 4 different addresses within this one project. There's 3 or 4 different lots that this big project on Riverside Drive is going to compose. And I actually spent about 45 minutes this weekend or the other day coming up with some kind of solution for this and to define this project because it's such a large project. And although it's ungainly, this is the best name we have it for at this
Well,
moment.
I think then a simple list with an AKA, also known as. I'll create a simple spreadsheet and send it to you guys to look at.
But I have to make sure, we have to make sure everyone, the public understands that the AKA represents the Gelson's project, or that
Right.
encompasses all these addresses. But I felt it was better to err on the side of being too descriptive than not as descriptive. That's why it went on that way.
Okay, very good. Okay, next item of business is committee member news and announcements. Anyone have committee members' news and announcements? Okay, nobody seeing that. Old business. And the first item of old business is the 10459 Camarillo Street proposed wall. The people from the architectural firm representing, maybe someone's microphone is on it. Maybe Bob or Ren, can you mute your microphones and test, please? Because I'm getting some bad feedback. I don't know where that feedback's coming from, but
I just muted.
Okay, thank you. We have some guest speakers for this project. Their names, Matt, are, oops, I pressed the wrong button, shoot. Here we go, back here. Their names, Eddie and Marcos should be allowed to talk. One of those two.
Eddie, and I got Marcos.
Okay, I guess let's just kick it off with either Eddie or Marcos, whoever wants to start there, and maybe introduce yourself, how you related to the project and what you'd like to do. So go ahead and unmute yourself, either Eddie or Marcos. And
hi, how's it going?
Where's Mark?
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for joining us.
I'm the architect for our client for the project on Camarillo Street. And our proposal is to build a new front landscape wall that will be pushed approximately 10 feet closer to Camarillo Street. The existing wall is composed of brick and wood on top. So we propose to build the new wall in the same structure. But we're going to slide it, we're proposing to slide it closer to the property line in the front. But the key question for the council is if we're allowed to extend it up to 8 feet instead of extending it, instead of at the current location, which is 6 feet. So that was the major request. And then there are 2 factors that come to play. First factor is security. And so that the reason why is because he actually, our client actually had a vagrant enter into his front yard and proceed to try to burn his house down. So that was a problem. And so he, with a bag of something lit on fire, kind of threw the bag at the house. So that was one issue which he'd like to prevent. And then second issue is he's kind of a public figure, so he just also wanted a little bit more security. In addition, I was speaking with Fred a couple weeks ago. Our client has also mentioned that I think a few properties, I believe, to the west. I think there's maybe a vacant lot over there, and I think there's also been a fire in that area. So yeah, so that's the request. Thank you.
Okay, so some discussion. I see Mark has his hand up. Or you think you can take over, Matt, with the hands raised.
Yeah. Mark after you, and then we'll do Bob and Tess.
So Marcos, help provide a little bit more information that I drove over that area not too long ago. And I remember, so if you're talking 6 to 8 feet, right? What is the difference? I understand it's 2 feet, right? But there was a wooden, I'll say like a railroad track. Does that make sense what I'm saying, Marcos?
Yes, I believe the first 2 to 3 feet is composed of brick, red brick. And then the additional height is composed of a vertical, I want to say like a 1x6 painted.
Right, but what I'm getting at is the street, on the street
Oh,
level.
okay.
On the
Okay.
street level, it's like there's a utility
Yes.
piece that's out front, and there's a
Yes.
sign, right? There's like a sign,
Yes.
that says, right?
It's a
So
unique
how-
property. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So how far is that fence coming up to that? Is it taking it out,
Right.
or?
No, so that's a dilapidated sign because the driveway is strange for this property, and the adjacent, I believe, 6 properties, they all share a common kind of driveway, almost alley.
Hmm.
And so that's the reason for that. It's a series of, I believe, 6 house signs. That's the sign you're referring to. So that sign we're going to take down and rebuild in a similar location. And so but we also are going to curve the new proposed wall. So that way it's a soft edge. And so that way when the not just our client, but the other people who live on those adjacent properties, they'll have easy access, which also comes into play when we're looking at views, sight lines pulling out onto Cambrio.
Great. All right. Thank you, Marcos.
Yeah, no problem.
I think Bob and then Tess. Yeah, Bob is next.
Marcos, this is Bob Chiavelli. Just a few questions. So there's no wall on the frontage?
Currently, there is an existing wall, which I believe is 6 feet high.
On the frontage? I didn't see, I
Yeah.
was over there too, but I didn't, maybe I'm,
Yes, so that particular property has a 40-foot, it's called a building line, where the structure of the home can't be built within 40 feet of the front property line. But there is an existing landscape wall, which is approximately 10 feet or so away from the property line, the front property line.
how high is that wall?
6 feet.
It is?
I believe it's 6 feet.
What's the length of the wall?
The length of the wall is the full length of the property. Yeah. So I believe I want to say it's 50 feet wide, that property.
So there'll be an 8-foot wall down the frontage of the house?
That's correct. Yeah. And the other thing to keep in mind, and as I believe a lot of the neighborhood council has noticed, is that the property to the west already has a wall that's, I believe, 8 feet high. That's up against the front property line. So that's something to take into consider, which the neighboring homes are very similar to what we're proposing.
So then back to the side frontage, the new wall, I'm concerned about that big tree that's there.
Yeah, that tree will remain. Yep. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to build a new wall in front of the tree. When I say in front of, it's going to be, the tree will be between, the wall will be built in front of the tree, meaning from the road, from Camarillo, you will not see the tree trunk any longer. But in order to salvage the tree trunk roots, in order to salvage the tree root system, we will probably have to build some of the wall as almost like a beam, so we don't have to tear up the root system.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, Tess, you're up.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for the brevity. That is so appreciated. Two quick questions. It said we were going to get a presentation. Did you have anything to show us? If so, I'd like to see it. If not, that's fine. And the second question is, you got cut off a little bit. I understand the first 6 feet of the fence is brick, and then the upper portion, the 2 feet is what exactly, Eddie? Could you, or Marcus, what is the top part of the fence consist of?
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know if it's possible to allow Eddie to share his screen
Can we do that?
while I talk. I'm not sure if that is possible, but meanwhile,
If you make him a co-host, you know.
okay. Meanwhile, to answer your first question, the top portion of the wall is 1x6 painted cedar. So it's a vertical V groove, sort of similar to what's behind Fred's house, in his house there.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're going to see these vertical striations. But yeah, the composition is wood, painted white. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If we can see it, that would be great. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
I brought you in, Eddie, but now I don't know how to make you co-host. I think I have to make. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there.
Hi, Matt. Yeah, this is Eddie here. I have two computers actually that are part of the meeting. So the one where I have the file, that's the one that I would like to, have access to,
Give me one second, guys. I'm gonna get my husband, who's better at this.
Just
Maybe, meanwhile, Ren can go and raise his hands. Or actually, yeah, you can
Sure.
talk.
Let me go ahead and make a couple of comments. One, I'm glad to hear you're going to take care of the tree roots, because I'm really concerned about that tree. It's a beautiful big old tree, and I'd hate to see it part and die for lack of water because the roots are cut. So I commend you and hope that you could get that set up so that the new wall doesn't cut off the tree. I also kind of curious about the security issue, because the house itself kind of fronts on the driveway, and it seems like almost anyone could walk up that driveway and then cut back into the property. So security, I can imagine, is an issue, but I don't think the wall is going to help security much, frankly. That's it for the moment.
Okay. Would you like my response?
Yeah, but go ahead, Marcos.
Okay. Yeah, with respect to the tree root system, we've worked with arborists before, so we know the issues with damaging the root structure. And with respect to security, there are two properties, his property and the adjacent property to the east, and between those two properties is the driveway to the other homes and beyond. And so the front two homes kind of have the most exposure, you could say, to people walking across the street. So, but you're right, there's not a gate. There's no gate to get to the homes and beyond. So if someone did want to walk in, they'd have to kind of venture on, past that front home. And so you're right, we're not preventing anyone from doing so. We're just kind of making it a little bit more difficult for someone they kind of have to really enter into, like, let's say, the community before they cause trouble. So
I figured it out. So Eddie, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Actually, I just raised my hand, so I don't know if you can see it there in your.
You should be able.
So you can see which computer I need to access.
Oh, I see. That's you. Okay.
There you go. Okay, thanks.
Now you should be able to share. You should be able to share your screen. There you go. Okay.
There you go. So you can see the red dash line is the property line. And the proposed wall is the gray and black line work shown as a hatched line. And so you can see that right in the center there, you'll see that big gray. I'm assuming, I believe that tree is about 24-inch to 30-inch diameter. So a pretty good sized tree. But because we don't have any extra space, that's why we're going to go straight across and span the root system there. And then up in the top of the image here, you'll see where we have that curve. And so that curve is to soften the approach. And then just above that, you'll see that angled sign, which we have to talk to the community about, because I think there are another 3 homes in that area. So we need to determine exactly what that's going to look like and get everyone else's approval. You can see the property line, that particular address sign sits inside our client's property. But having that view path is key. So when you're exiting, you can have view to Camarillo Street.
Could you give us a dotted line of where the existing wall is? Just roughly?
Yeah, I think we may have a coordination plan possibly. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Right there. So you can see that 11'1" is the pretty accurate dimension right there.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions before we let him unshare his screen?
I do have a quick question for anyone who wants to answer this, and that is this. Moving the wall out to the property line will definitely change the sight line when you're exiting the driveway with your car. And that's a little concerning, but mainly, do the neighbors behind this place, are they aware of all this? Do they support it? Are they okay with the reduced sight line? Are they okay with the design? Can anyone fill us in about the neighbors who other houses on the same property? Thank you.
Are you, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, as part of the planning department requirements, that's one of the concerns. So when we started the project and all the paperwork that we have submitted to the planning department, it includes, our letters from the neighbors where they have signed that, where our client explained them the project, and they sign, that that they understand that what we are trying to do, that to build this wall, and which I mean, they have been told that this is going to be also part of this. It's gonna help the security of this little group of cul-de-sac houses. But yeah, they know about the project.
So, okay, I'm still confused. I don't see how it's going to help the security of the rest of the property because the driveway is still open. But if the driveway is going to be closed, that's one thing, but I don't see that here. But so are you saying that they have actually written letters to support this?
Not as a support, but they have, they were explaining about the project, what is the scope of the project. Yeah, they have the knowledge.
But they have knowledge of it, but you don't know how they feel about it.
Our understanding is that when they sign, the application, not the application, but the form, we understand our understanding is that they agree with the project. They didn't, yeah.
Understood. Okay, that's fine. The last question is this, mainly, I don't know for the rest of the board or you guys, but there's no other walls that are 8 feet tall. Not only on that street, but I don't think anywhere in the neighborhood of Toluca Lake that are right on the property line like that. So this, if approved, would set a precedent and could start off, a lot of other neighbors doing the same thing. I'm not sure that that's really conducive for our neighborhood, but I don't know if anyone wants to talk about that. I don't know how you guys feel about that, of this setting a precedent if it is gone through 8 feet, right on the property line in the front yard. That's kind of unheard of. So how do you guys respond to that?
Shall I just speak or?
Go ahead, Tess. I don't know if the architect guys want to answer that, or if you want to speak, Tess. But
Well,
Yes, hold on.
let's see if they have a response first. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were just going to show the photographs of the adjacent properties.
yeah, I've looked through your presentation. I've seen them, and they're all 6 feet, and they're not on the property line.
So this is, Eddie, this picture here, this one here is the, to the left is the entryway to the cul-de-sac.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah, so this is the opposite side. So this wall is, shows a picture of kind of how the wall currently is. And so we were going to rebuild the new wall in that similar fashion. But we were going to extend just the white portion, which is that wood structure, higher. So the brick would maintain that same height. Okay, and do you have another photograph, Eddie?
That's a side yard, is it not, Marcus?
That's technically, okay, technically it's a side yard, but it faces Camarillo.
Yeah, but it's not the frontage for the house. And I've got, that's the issue, really. I think 8 foot on Camarillo is probably okay, but
It's on Camarillo.
we're struggling with the 8 foot frontage right to the property line.
Yes, that photograph, Eddie, if you go back to that photograph, that is, okay, and that street right on the bottom of the screen, that's Camarillo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a frontage. So, and it's not, the road that I see to my left, is that's the entrance to the property
Correct.
we're talking about?
Yes, and then just to the left of that,
Right.
Eddie, if you draw, that's the subject property.
And you're saying now there's a current 8 foot wall all the way down that property?
No, the existing property only has a 6 foot wall.
There is a 6 foot wall?
Yes, it's the same as this wall.
Because
here.
I just don't remember. It's me
Yeah.
probably, but
Yeah, Eddie, do you have a photograph of the subject properties wall?
so that must be a new wall?
Oh, here we go. Oh, there you go. So this is the subject property wall, and there's that large tree.
Right.
And so that is the wall that we were requesting. You could see the electrical utility box right in front of the tree, right there. And so between that electrical box and the large tree is where the property line is. So we were requesting this wall to be placed a few inches inset of that property line.
So the area, the extra area is important to him?
Yes, that's right.
Now, if you go into the cul-de-sac, do you have any pictures there?
I'm not sure if we have pictures.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, you can see on the left there.
I just want to see what the wall, so this, okay. Go
Oh, here
into
we
it.
There it is, right there. So that's
You
the
say there's a
subject-
wall. I don't see the wall, so I'm confused.
Yeah. So you see the brick pillar? There's a light on top of that brick pillar. Yeah, so that's the wall right there.
No, but you told me the wall is going to go to the entire frontage.
Yes, when I said frontage, Eddie's sketching it right now.
And you said there was a 6 foot wall, which I don't see.
Yes, the 6 foot wall is most of it currently right now, as you can see.
But
is
that's the
complete-
side yard, Marcus. I hate to harp on this, and I don't mind, actually, I don't even mind the 8 foot on the side. Although I am concerned about the sight lines, but it's the 8 foot in the front that I'm worried about.
Okay, you broke
You
up there
mentioned there's a
little
wall
bit.
there currently at 6, but I don't see it. So you haven't ever shot into the cul-de-sac?
I think,
Okay, yeah,
Bob, technically, the wall along Camarillo is a side yard wall because of the way the
There you
house is sitting.
Yeah, I know, Ran, and I said, I would actually not care if it was 8 foot instead of 6 foot. It's a side yard. I'm
Okay.
concerned about the frontage, and this is where
Oh, okay, got it. I
the
see.
character of the neighborhood is changing because everyone is putting up 6, 8 foot. My daughter lives in Encino. There are 15-foot hedges and 20-foot hedges. It destroys the whole nature of a neighborhood. So, you know, we were told that there's a 6-foot existing wall, but I don't see it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, photo 6.
So
Eddie,
show me the, if you
that
can go
wall?
down that cul-de-sac, I'd like to see what the frontage looks like.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you go down the cul-de-sac, you're correct. And if I misspoke with respect to the verbiage, but I was referring to this wall particularly here, which faces Camarillo, having that 6-foot wall.
Okay, so if you can show that, so now we're gonna go into the cul-de-sac, and now I can't believe the neighbors are not gonna object to this.
So yeah, let me clarify. So this photograph right here shows the view of the house from Camarillo. And so that current wall that has that pink line on top is 6 feet. And so we're requesting to rebuild that wall 11 feet closer to Camarillo, which is still, you would see it exactly from this view. Does that make sense?
No, it's perfectly clear. But again, I would not like to see an 8-foot wall on the frontage right out to the property line.
Okay. From you're saying, Eddie, can you go to that picture? I think right below it.
Okay, that's good. So there's no wall. Now you
Yes.
want to bring that wall right out to the edge of the grass.
No, we're not doing any. We're not proposing anything on this frontage here.
Well, the sketch you showed us has the wall.
Yeah, that sketch is maybe Eddie, go back to that sketch, that plan sketch.
You have
Yeah.
a wall completely surrounding the property, like a little fortress.
Yeah, Eddie, can you go to the larger site plan? I think that's the issue here. There we go. Okay, so Eddie, go back all out to the full view. Yes, okay. So now you can see the entire length, which is shown on the top of the screen here. That looks like 120 feet. That right there faces the cul-de-sac. And so the proposed wall stops aligning. with the-
Okay, well, that's, so it's not going down the whole.
Correct, that's right.
Earlier, we said it was going to be the whole front. There was a 6-foot existing. So basically, he's walling in a garden.
Exactly, yes, that's right. Which he has currently at 6 feet, but it's currently.
Okay, no, that just clears it up for me. Thank you
Okay,
for that.
okay,
That
thank
one
you.
clears it up. So it's not going down the whole property line.
No. Yeah, the neighbors definitely wouldn't like that.
No,
It would change the community.
no, I would vote against that, but okay,
Exactly.
that's clear.
I see, Mark, your hand is up.
Yeah, so just very quickly, yeah, it's the backyard. So we got the backyard coverage there. However, I understand what Fred's concern is about the turn into the traffic going west on Camarillo. You know, that does take out a sight line, and currently there are trees on that side. So it really is taking up a good bit of ground. So yeah, I clearly hear what Fred's concern is.
Okay. I don't see anybody else. We've got one. Okay, Jonathan, your hand is up. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Oops, I didn't mean. There we go.
I think I hear the board members, and I'd like to say as a stakeholder that I think the councils should always weigh heavily on the need for a homeowner to feel safe in their home. But this project just fell apart for me because it isn't a security fence. It isn't it's not secure. So I don't think it should be on the property line. I think there should always be a setback because of a lot of reasons. but an 8-foot fence or wall. And it's broken up, so it isn't really a sound barrier either. It's a half a concrete or 3/4 concrete or something, cement, and then it's wooden. It doesn't even look attractive. It looks like they're saving money, but yeah, I don't know. This falls apart because it's not a security issue. To go to 8 feet, there should be a compelling reason and there should be a setback. That's just my own opinion. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Yeah,
you're up, Tess.
yeah, so, I mean, I appreciate the attention that's been put into this, and I weigh very heavily on the side of security, but this doesn't really accomplish the security, because if people can just walk down the driveway, that's not a secure, the 2 feet of extra fencing doesn't accomplish anything really. And so, yeah, that makes it less attractive to me, because I think the character of the neighborhood is hugely important, and we're fighting tooth and nail to try to keep it the way it is. And much as I appreciate this this presentation, so it's just my thought.
May I respond to that thought?
Of course.
Okay. One of the other concerns with our client is that the primary suite is located in the, let's say it's the western corner, where you can see where the home jogs.
Okay.
And down, yeah, so we're kind of right there.
Okay.
Down sort of at the bottom of the screen, Eddie.
Okay.
That's the primary bedroom and the primary bathroom.
Okay.
And so I think the major concern from our client is that, of course, that's where he's going to be sleeping. And so technically, it's the space in which is adjacent to his bedroom is the area in which that he is looking to increase security. Now, everyone is correct where the front door faces the cul-de-sac, let's say.
Mhm.
And so there are windows that face the cul-de-sac and doors that face the cul-de-sac, and the garage faces the cul-de-sac. But his bedroom is sort of secure from those areas. But the only purpose of this wall, by increasing it in height, is to provide security really primarily for his bedroom. And then to answer, just to have another comment, with respect to the style, the reason why our client is requesting that we build it in the same style as the other, I guess it's called the eastern adjacent property, is particularly to maintain the neighborhood quality. So, and so, I mean, if you want my opinion, I guess it doesn't really matter as far as the look of that particular wall. And so we're, you know, if the neighborhood council has ideas for a different type wall, we're all ears, but we were just particularly trying to rebuild it in the exact style to match the opposite side. That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And Ren.
Yeah, I'm generally opposed to walls and hedges and all of that stuff. And I've watched over the last 30 plus years as more and more of these kind of walls and hedges and stuff have gone up. I don't think, frankly, it enhances security very much. I know there are paparazzi out there who take pictures of some of our movie stars, but I think that's pretty rare. I think that it really doesn't help much. On the other hand, I think I'm going to vote yes on this for a couple of reasons. One, Camarillo, although it's a lane each way, is a fairly major street with a lot of traffic, especially at rush hour. And I can see that it's a problem having a privacy in the sense of all the traffic on the street. The second thing is, in looking at the property, by moving the wall 11 feet, it gives the owner some real space there in what is his hide yard to do whatever, have people over, have a barbecue and so forth. I think it gives a reasonable space for that kind of activity. And so I'm going to vote yes. I think in this particular case, it makes sense.
Okay, this is Lee. I got in on the end of this. I want to confirm it's just a wall for a single family dwelling. Is that correct?
Yes, that's great.
In that case, I'll vote yes.
Okay, Fred, I think that's it.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you, you guys. I really appreciate your presentation. And Matt, you could probably stop sharing them at this point, I think. And looks like that we have possible action on here, like it says on the agenda. So does anyone would like to call for a motion?
I call for motion to vote on this 8-foot fence, yes or no?
Okay, so then Tess calls for a motion. I'm going to just write it out for 10459 Camarillo Street proposed wall to support the application. This is a motion to support, so your yes vote will approve their plan. And I'm going to get my little piece of paper here so I can make some notes, and I will call for the vote. Do I
Did
have
someone second it? Sorry.
do I have a first? Tess is a first, and Brandon.
I'll second. Oh, or Lee.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Who wants to second it? Okay, so I'm going to say Tess is a first, and I heard Brandon first do that. So Brandon, were you second to that?
Sure, yeah, I'll second.
Okay, and here we go. Ren Veit.
No, I asked for discussion since the motion has been brought up. I'd like to hear from other board members before the vote.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Mark. So do we have any discussion? Brandon.
I appreciate the discussion of the concerns, but I think given where it is, I really liked Ren's comments at the end. And privacy, especially on Camarillo, is a reason for support on this for me. I think that really, I endorse, Ren's discussion, I suppose. So that's it for me.
Ren, are you sitting down?
Yes.
I agree with you. Don't be too shocked. This may be a first.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion?
I'm going to mark the date, March 14th, the day that Ren fell out of his chair. So the only concern that I have, and I don't know if it can be addressed, is just that sight line that Fred you brought up, and I have zero problem in moving it further. I think it does add value to the property itself as well as for the backyard. But I mean, Fred, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, if the neighbors are okay with it, like the presentation says, they signed their names to the application. So as long as they know and they're okay, I think that's fine as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
It's not a cross street, which would be more of a concern, Mark. So
the only really concern for me is
basically a driveway entrance.
The only concern for me is that yes, it's a side yard, but it's the front of Camarillo. So if you don't really know the technicalities of it, most people are going to think it's the front yard, because that's the front of Camarillo. So if other neighbors start to see that, we could possibly see a lot more of these walls going up. And that's my only concern, honestly. In this case, I agree with what the owner wants and the architects are doing. I don't know if it's possible they would consider a 6-foot wall or not, but that's my thoughts on that.
I call to vote.
Okay, thank you. And now, just really quick, can I just call everyone's first name, or do you want me to call first and last name? Does that matter, Ren?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, Ren was speaking, but it was on mute.
Yeah, first name is fine.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, here we go. So Ren.
Yes.
Ren is yes. Mark.
Yes.
Mark is yes. Matt.
Yes.
Yes. Fred, yes. Robert.
Yes, conditioned on saving that tree.
Okay. Okay. And Brandon.
Yes.
Ron.
Abstain because I just don't like all the high walls around Toluca Lake, but I won't stop them if they have security concerns.
Okay. Abstain for Ron and Lee. Lee says yes. Okay. And Tess.
Yes, with the condition that the tree is saved.
Okay. Same condition as Bob. Okay. Very
So
good.
Fred, since that's an addition to the vote, I think that we should all agree on that.
That's fine. And from what I understand from the architects that the tree will be saved.
Right, but again, we've added a condition that we all want. So I just want to make sure we're all voting to say yes, except for Ron who abstained. So
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
Then all of us would be voting yes with the condition that the tree is saved. And I will write that down. Okay. If that's the case, then we have 8 yeses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 0 no's and 1 abstain. The motion carries. Thank you very much. And thank you, Eddie Marcos, for your time. We'll move forward. And that brings us to item 6.2, which I will hand over to Ren, and he can give us an update on the community plan.
Yeah, I think our community plan is still sort of under the basket, if you will. They haven't put it out to the public. The planning department, higher level people are working on it, revising it perhaps. But we should see it in the next, let's see, it's March, April, May, someplace in the next 2 months. And I'd like to have everybody plan to commit to picking up a piece of it. It's going to be pretty major. It's going to cover a lot of different topics. And ideally, if various planning committee members can take a topic and really dig into it and be able to describe it then out to the regular community, I think it's going to be useful for the community. And our community really needs to know what the plan is. One element I keep talking about is the housing. And there's been further discussion about SB 9 and 10 and the city's implementation of that. There are a number of neighborhood councils that are very concerned that the communities who are in the current planning process with their community plans being revised will end up getting the lion's share of the additional required housing. And we want to make sure that we're not stuck getting a lot more required additional housing than might be fair and reasonable across the whole city. So anyway, it's just a heads up. Stay tuned. The other thing I mentioned a number of times, because the plan is behind the curve in terms of their timing, they may try to speed up the approval process by cutting us short on our input. And that's something we need to make sure our councilmen and other council people work against. We need our full time to really review this plan. That's it.
Okay, that's great, Ren. Thank you very much for that. That's very important. Go ahead, Tess.
Ren, what are the topics what are the breakdown of topics that you want split up among the committee?
I'll bring that forward when it comes. I need to see how the final plan is broken down, and frankly, I want to look at it to see where I think the major issues are. So I'd rather not try to assign it ahead of time.
Well, you're not assigning anything, but what are the topics that we can be thinking about or perhaps researching in advance? Housing is one you just mentioned. What else?
Yeah, one of the big issues is going to be where they're going to site additional higher level housing. But there's a variety of other issues, the whole infrastructure set of issues. Are they going to plan for a new grammar school, for example? If they're going to add substantial population to our community, there needs to be a new, I think, a new grammar school. The parks, we're already underparked, and if they add more population, we need some parks. We need someone to, I think, to pick up that whole issue of recreational land use and what that looks like. The transportation aspect of this, whether we're going to get a minibus through our community. NBC Universal had proposed it at one point. I think we need to go back to them and see if we can get a minibus coming out of NBC Universal, going around maybe over to Warner Brothers or into Burbank and then back through our community. So we have a minibus that we can help our local transportation anyway. So those are the things that come to mind. So let me go ahead and I'll take a look at other community plans and see what other particular issues I think are going to need focus, someone to really take the ball and run with it. Because it's not a one or two person kind of assignment. It really, I think, is a whole committee assignment.
But remember one thing, the more you build, the more you bring people. That's not good. We don't want to invite more people here. Greyhound therapy works pretty good.
Yeah, I'm afraid, Lee, that, that bus has left the station. I think we're going to get stuck with additional housing in our community, and it needs to be in the right place. It needs to be at the right scale, and we don't want more than kind of is our share. But I think we're going to have to make room for more people, because I think that's state level, county level, regional level, et cetera. All of that is already been discussed and debated and whatever for the last 10 years. So I think we're stuck taking more units.
Fred, man.
I think you're muted, Lee.
Brandon, one sec.
Okay, like I said, community don't want that though. The more you build, the more you bring people regardless. Greyhound therapy, get them out of here is fine. Unfortunately, we cannot use grape Kool-Aid, that's inhuman. But anything, just get them out of here. Don't keep inviting more people here. You're going to have this place like New York, and we don't want that. It's already overpopulated.
All right. Thank you, you guys. Let's move on.
I'm sorry, Fred, can I just make one comment?
I
would appreciate it as a personal favor, please, that instead of saying like New York, you say like downtown LA or like Compton or like Chinatown. I lived my whole life in New York, and
Sorry
everybody
about that.
absolutely loved it, and they would never think of moving. So can you please change that? I would appreciate
Yes, sir.
it. Thank you.
I rewired that. I'm sorry.
Don't bash people.
Chinatown's good. Well, downtown LA is good.
Okay.
We love New York, Bob. Okay, so go ahead.
I've had Tess, I just wanted to mention that the most recent community plan update that was prepared, and I think is still going through the process, I'm not too sure, but is the Hollywood community plan. And you can look it up as an example of what
The elements, okay.
But Ren is right. Like it'll include transportation. A community plan is mostly a land use document. So it's a community plan for the city of Los Angeles is a part of the general plan. And it provides, it needs to be consistent with, it provides goals and policies and objectives and implementation measures primarily for land use, but then it has other components like transportation infrastructure, parks and recreation that it would consider. So But the community plan update would be the most up to date, or the most recent example.
Well, thank you, Brandon. I'm
Watchdog there.
I'm very familiar with what a community plan is, though I appreciate the update. I was asking Bren which elements he thinks we
Gotcha.
focus on. So certainly housing, transportation, all of those. So we'll break them up and distribute them amongst the committee, I guess. So, but thank you.
I just have one comment. I'll level my hand. And I hesitated to bring this up because I have no details, but I got a notification just today from city planning that they are going to adopt a completely new revolutionary zoning plan. And that plan could completely change all our community plans. That it's a major revision of zoning and how we see buildings and volumes of buildings and setbacks. And that, so again, I hesitate to bring it up, but it's good that we're all aware that changes are coming. And if we can all dig in a little bit and find out what's coming up, it would be helpful to Ren.
Yeah, just to touch on that a moment, in broad brush approach, zoning in the past has always kind of assumed that there's a hierarchy from single family homes to multifamily to commercial to industrial as kind of a anything goes kind of thing. And one of the interesting things is that across the city now, there's industrial property that's being developed for residential use. And it's it creates a huge problem for a community if suddenly instead of acres and acres of industrial buildings, you suddenly have 1,000 or 1,200 new residents who need schools, who need parks, who need et cetera, et cetera. And so planning is now starting to get, I hope, more sophisticated in terms of setting requirements on land use that basically says, okay, we are going to use this as industrial and we're not going to allow other uses that are conflicting or creating demands on the community that they can't handle. So ideally it'll be more sophisticated, but we're going to have to run a little bit to catch up and understand what they're proposing and visualize how that's going to impact. You're going to have to look at this plan and know that it's going to be out there for at least 10 years and probably 20. And we've got to visualize what our community is going to look like with these higher levels of uses or different uses.
You know, what I don't understand, we vote the politicians in to help us and do what we want. Once they get in, they don't care what we feel about development. They do what they want. They get their bribes from, it's just not right. That's the way I feel.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lee. Ren's going to make a plan, Stan, for all of us to, sorry, I had to do it, to get on this, and we'll follow it appropriately. Thank you very much, Ren. I really appreciate that. Now, there's no more discussion, we can move on to item 6.3, which is Brandon's baby and guidelines for developers projects. I'll hand it off to you, Brandon. Let's talk about how we want to move this forward. Go ahead, Brandon.
Thanks. Matt, can you make me host so I can share my screen?
There you go.
Thank you. Oops. So can everyone see this? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I think one is yeah, Jonathan's still on. Thank you, Jonathan, for your comment about being a PDF. That was a good comment, and I put it in Word so that I can actively change it if needed. But that was apologies for any inconvenience. So we last presented this conditions for housing elements back in December, and we made I made notes during the meeting, and we had feedback, but I wanted to present what it now looks like, because we've talked about it a number of times, but I would like to present it and potentially move forward, to keep the ball rolling. So I believe it was Bob that had a comment about having a mission. I created a purpose to state that, this document serves to help facilitate active participation in the development review process for potential future projects within the greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council boundaries. Matt, can you mute everyone? And then prospective applicants looking for neighborhood input may refer to this list of recommended conditions for consideration in proposed projects design, construction, and operation. So this was that was a good comment. Like, it needed some sort of understanding what this document is. This is the scope of what I want it to be, a list of suggestions of what we find important. It should be a living document, things that could be amended, in future meetings as whatever time frame it is. But I continue to say that the following recommendations do not represent an exhaustive list necessary for board support, but rather shall be utilized in a constructive manner with stakeholders of GTLNC. So it would be almost like a framework to discuss if there's a point of contention, or just disagreement with design, if it's not drought, resistant plants for some reason, or it could be a discussion point of things that we care about. And this was included in the meeting documents. I'm not going to go through each of them unless people have a particular question. And I'm going to try to zoom it out. But for the sake of it ends at 12. So this is what I would like to be the final product. Unless there's any amendments that folks would like to discuss now, I would like to solicit any feedback during this time, and then I would like to solicit public comment. And then it's my intention to make a motion to approve it. So, Fred, because I'm leading, do you want me to call on people, or would you?
Sure, Brandon, absolutely. If you'd like to do that, by all means. Thank you so much.
All right, Ren?
Yeah, I wonder if we might want to broaden this from conditions for housing development to just conditions for developments, because I think most of this will cover other projects besides just.
Did I lose him?
Brand, are you still there? I think his internet got messed up because he froze. Brand, I don't know if you can hear us, but you are frozen. Hopefully he'll come back to us.
Well, his point is that,
yeah, to his point, I don't have any, it's not housing specific, so it could be just perceptible to that. Conditions for proposed, maybe just proposed development. So hi, Ren. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm back, I hope.
Yeah, you were just saying, we missed you on we heard your point about conditions for proposed developments, proposed projects, instead of just limiting it to housing. And after looking at it, yeah, you're right. It's not really housing specific, but it could be, an office building. But anyway, continue, Ren. I think he froze again. So while he gets situated, Tess, go ahead.
Well, first of all, congratulations, Brandon. Long time
Okay.
coming. So I have a couple of substantive items, and then I think it could be shortened just for brevity without any loss of detail. And I can maybe help you a little bit with that. They call me Tess the Knife for a reason, but my substantive items would include, let's see, under item number 6, the applicant should provide security on or around the property during construction. Should we say demolition and construction? Because when it's in the process of being demolished, that's when, people scavenging for parts and electrical wires and things would be, in seeking access. So I would suggest that. I would also suggest that something about a phone number of the builder or developer should be posted prominently, so that people can, somebody, responsible for the building should be getting calls if there are problems. And other than that, I think it looks really good. I would simply shorten some of the language, but that's not anything that needs to take up the committee's time. I can talk to you offline about that if you like, but it looks good.
I would push back on the phone number. I think that is not, it should be more towards code enforcement, a city responsibility for management of construction. So
okay, well, some phone number that people can call that is, at least open during business hours, and I don't even after hours, because after hours is often when problems occur. So I think some contact details should be available. And the as far as back to item 6, during demolition, and I think all phases of construction, could we add that?
Sure. I thought you were test the knife. You're adding.
I know. I will. I'll make up for it, and I will absolutely.
Okay.
Mark was next.
Okay, but I still don't. I don't agree with the phone number. I think there's resources, but I'll put it. I would like to, for the sake of like discussion, I kind of wanted to. I mean, I guess the true Robert's Rules way would be if I made a motion to approve, and then we have amendments and we vote and whatnot. But I'll just make a note for now, because I don't want to gum up the process. But you're saying phone number. Phone numbers. Okay. Mark, you were next.
Yes, so Brandon, outstanding job. I love this. This is very helpful. I understand what you're saying, because code enforcement should always be part of the process regardless. And we've had that happen even with the development projects that we've had. So I get your point on that. So I just want to say thank you. And it's a one-pager. I love that too.
Yeah, I played with the margins to make it. Yeah, one. Well, it would have been one line that would have been, yeah. But anyway.
Hilarious.
Matt?
First of all, I agree. I love this. I think this is fantastic. I do have one question just for number 2. Does the city require all new buildings to use drought-resistant landscaping?
I don't know. And this is not really meant to be, it's almost like a position paper. It's not really, I didn't want it to be, go through the code, and the code certainly doesn't prohibit this, but like this is just our preferences or something. But that's how I framed it. I didn't want to get bogged down on. I wanted it to be easier to read.
I am all about native plants and succulents. If you come to my house, I'm the house on the street that has all the succulents in front. My only question was if they are not using drought resistant landscaping. At the bottom, at the end of this, you said if these aren't met, we won't, well, we reserve the right. So
Reserve the right.
So we can still see them even if they're not.
I'm not following. We can
We'll still be able to. I don't want to say that we won't look at their plan just because
No.
Oh.
And it says reserves the right.
Reserves. That's what I want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. That was my only question.
I mean, I suppose I added this second, but maybe this sentence is repetitive of 12. So maybe I'll just.
Always good to repeat yourself.
Test with the knife. What do you think?
I'm getting a notification about drought resistant plants from someone, but you want to cut what
No,
exactly?
it was just a never mind. Okay, I agree with Mark on a repetition. Ron?
Yes, my main concern in all of this was that the character of Toluca Lake be maintained. And I know that's too vague, it's nebulous. What is the character of Toluca Lake? But I'm wondering, and we had discussed this earlier, and we were going to talk about something. In fact, Bren, I think, said there was some kind of broad plan that we had that we would say that this would fit in with that, within that broad plan. Is item number 1 going to take care of that so that we don't find something, and I guess this would be in the commercial area, like on Riverside, where we get something that looks too much like downtown LA or midtown Manhattan, Bob, instead of a kind of suburban area that Toluca Lake is?
Yeah, I heard you last time, and I added that to 1 so that we could have an opportunity to remind applicants that this body is here to establish a relationship, to have feedback, to have community input. I didn't want to go into specifics. I think what Ren mentioned last time was the Toluca Lake design overlay, and that covers over Riverside Drive. So there's already things in place. Again, I didn't want to create a planning document. Ren just talked about a community plan being in the process that would have design guidelines. This is just, let's create an opportunity to discuss design so that we could have our own opinions.
All right, well, thank you so much, Brandon.
Thank you. Tess?
The notification I got relates to drought resistant plants. New construction requires low impact development, shade trees, and rain capture barrels. This is specific to residential and drought tolerant plants. So I think that answers that. So
yeah, it's not, I didn't think it would conflict with code. A lot of that is like water quality measures. So this is just a preference.
Thank you, Tess. Actually, that makes me really happy to hear. So thank you.
My sources.
Thank you. I appreciate your sources. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh.
Mark?
Yeah, Brendan, very quickly, because sometimes we have to be very careful about the verb that we use. Sure. So I do want to go back because I'm thinking of test the knife. And so it's the, all right, let me find it. It's about security. So you got number 7 and number 6.
Mhm.
And again, it's a wordsmithing thing. Is it should or must? Is it shall? Is it agree to provide? You know what I'm saying is I don't know, is should, it's like, well, you should do it.
I'm with Mark. Let's toughen it up.
Okay.
Must.
So which one, 6 or 7?
Well, under 6, it will, I guess it would be the applicant will provide security.
I would go must.
Must.
Yeah.
Must provide security.
We have so little power, Mark. Let's take it where we can get it.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
And
7.
Yeah, and then on 7, is that within? Can we say that's it? It has to happen. I'm just curious. I'd love for it to happen.
I don't feel a particular way. It's a must, you're saying?
Well, that's my question to the team here, the committee. Is this a deal breaker? Is security cameras? We're saying they've got to have security, but are we saying they have to have security cameras with a working security system?
I would like to see it because of the problems that are reported. Construction sites are among the most often raided, and construction sites attract crime because there's nobody living there. And even if everything's been put away, the hope for tools, copper piping, electrical, being able to what's the word, hijack or you know what I'm saying, when people steal the power, the hope of that creates a lot of crime opportunity. And so I think security should be a must.
Okay. Fred?
Okay, so yeah, I do agree with you guys too, and can share this. I'm around on my bike and walking this neighborhood all the time, and in all the new buildings that are around here, they do have security, and it's in the developer's best interest to have full-time 24-hour live person on site at all the time, and they do that. Every single one that I've seen around here has that. What they don't have is from the beginning are the cameras. And so I don't know if there needs to be any language in here, like at a certain point, when do the cameras go in? So like, you know, for example, you wouldn't put the cameras in when they're digging down or there's nothing on the lot, there's a Caterpillar tractor there. You know, in the framing process, at what point, you know, do the cameras go in? Because I guarantee you, once these buildings are built, all of them are going to have security there. And every single one that I saw will have that. So my only question is, at what point do the cameras go in? Thank you.
So I added of construction of structures, I think is a broad enough term. Okay, great. Are there any other comments? If not, Matt, can you help me with public comment? So
I don't see anybody in the public raising their hands.
Well, I guess we should call for public comment if anybody would like to comment.
Jonathan, you're up. You got 3 minutes.
Hi, Brandon. It's a nice job. Generally, I like it. I think it's a very good idea to do something like this. I would recommend you say what security is, because Tessa's right. A lot of monkey business goes on these sites when there's redevelopment going on. And the other thing is, I notice they often leave the streets absolutely filthy. This is an opportunity for you to invite them to keep the crap off the streets, clean it up every night. Because, I mean, it's really wicked what they throw into the streets. It just lays there for like a month, like garbage, gravel, all sorts of stuff, piles of wood right in the street. So that's one of the more important things I would say. Thanks.
Yeah, their lunch, the remains of their lunch. Yeah.
Okay.
And Brandon, sorry, just really quick on that note, if you could add with the trash and whatnot, the other thing I've noticed that would be important is the street trees should be watered during construction, because a lot of the street trees are neglected and have, especially at Queen of Bloomfields, half of them have died because they're just not watered. And so that would be important, I think, is they just take care of the street trees during construction. Thank you.
Good one. Very good.
I think there's nobody else in the public, so Mark, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just following up with what Jonathan brought up is maybe we should just, because it seems like it's a code regulation enforcement. You know, because I believe trash, the trash issue is part of code enforcement, is it not? And so
Sure.
I don't know, Brandon, if you, it's like an emphasizing within the line there of saying must enforce, must follow code regulations. But again, Jonathan's making a great point, and that goes from A to Z. Those that have been with Plum for years, we've heard various complaints, right, where code has not been followed, and so yes.
Okay, help me, folks. Does 10 not address worksite trash? Or does anyone have any proposed language to add to it? You're saying that they should follow the code, or?
I think it goes back to something Tess Brandon brought up earlier about code enforcement. You know, it's just, I don't know if it's in there about just, again, following the code regulations.
I mean, goodness.
Just a reminder, basically.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to do, Brandon? You want me to share your screen again?
Oh, I'm not sharing my screen again. Oh, okay.
Now you can.
Okay. When did you remove that? Okay. Okay.
You can share your screen again.
Okay. Well, shoot. I don't remember when that ended. So I added
just about 2 minutes ago.
Okay. Well, I added existing trees to remain should be watered during construction. Jonathan mentioned type of security. I think it's a good point. I think this should be a point for discussion. To constructive discussion of type of security. To Mark's point about security cameras, or someone said, was it Mark, that I don't think we need to designate the type of security, but the applicant must provide security on or around the property during demolition in all phases of construction. Applicant must provide a plan for type of security. For discussion. Maybe that would capture it. Again, worksite trash 10 says the applicant should provide a plan for construction.
Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Construction parking workers, no. Construction parking for workers. Worksite trash, graffiti removal, and safety. So it's included.
And I would say, Brandon, removal of graffiti and worksite trash. Not just a plan, but to actually remove it.
So,
yeah, removal of graffiti and worksite trash. Yeah, there you go. I have a request from a stakeholder who is on the agenda tonight and only has a few more minutes. Is it possible to bump him in and then continue with this presentation?
Yeah.
he has to leave?
Yeah, actually, Tess, absolutely. So as soon as we're done with Brandon, we'll go right on to Michael.
Okay, so
So Ren, oh,
Got a comment.
That's all right. Let's go on. We'll get back to this. That's fine. Let's go ahead.
so we're
We're continuing with you, Brandon. Just tell Michael to hold on for a few more minutes. Or when Michael can hear us. We're gonna
he says he only has 5 minutes, Fred.
Okay, well, we'll finish with Brandon really quick and we'll
Okay.
get to Michael.
All right, I don't want to give Brandon short shrift after all he's gone through to present this because it is very good. Thank you.
Yeah, Fred, I'd rather go directly to Michael and then come back to this. Because I
Okay,
think
that's fine. Is that okay with you, Brandon?
yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Brandon, we're going to come back to you with the possible motion action on this. But for now, since Michael is short on time, we'll skip to 6.6, which is 10057 Riverside Drive. And we have a motion here to issue a statement that the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council does not support the TOC project at 10057 to 10063 Riverside Drive and 4508 North Mariota in its current form. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Michael, give us a little background and update on what he thinks and what's going on. So Michael, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking me on here a little bit quicker. Brandon, thank you. And I think you did an excellent job there from what I saw and I read at the time that I had a chance to look at it. I'm looking for this vote, being that there was never a vote from the chamber, the council, or you guys in regards to the project, the TOC project on Riverside Drive. Now, we know it's been approved, but there is a big fight going on here. And we know the Gelson's at this point has been stopped. So there is some momentum to stop this. I was in the councilman's office for about an hour and a half on Thursday, and the councilman, the chief of staff, the first thing he said was, how come no one ever took a vote on this? Like, why is the chamber and everyone not stopping this thing? So there is maybe a possibility of some ways to stop this. And I also have a very important person in the senator's office that I'll be sending an email to. But I think it's best that the village gets together and shows the councilman and the senator and that, you know, we are against this. We do not want this in this beautiful little village. As we know, this would be the first of many. And from listening to you guys and some of the things you were discussing prior, the stopping of the village getting destroyed is very important. Obviously, this is a beautiful little village. I've been in this area, a 2-block radius for 22 years, started as a bartender, now an owner. And I absolutely love this area, as you all do. So I think it's very important that we join together as Largemount Village did, as Sherman Oaks did, and they both stopped these projects. So there is ways, whether it's approved or not, to at least slow it down. They do have until May 2013, and then they have to refile. That's the 3-year mark. So there's ways to do it. I think everyone needs to get together and stop it and save this village. Because again, if this one gets in, there's going to be another one right down the line, and there's no parking, noise, traffic, you name it. And this beautiful little quaint village is not going to be.
So
This is Lee. Just to make a quick comment. I think if they do steal the copper and stuff from these construction sites, actually, that's good. It slows the developer down that much more. That's the positive side of it.
All right. Well, Tess, you had something to say?
yes, so I was going through past meeting minutes and agendas, and I found on the May 20th, 2019 Plum meeting minutes that there was a motion that the GTLNC does not support this project located at 10063 Riverside Drive. It ended up being tabled, but there was no description of why it was tabled. So Ren, Bob, I think you were on the planning committee at that time. Do you recall why it was tabled?
Yes, been going back over this in my mind and talking to a bunch of people about what happened. Back in the day, Ryan Altoon, who was chair of planning, worked with the developers and negotiated a number of changes to the plan as they had originally proposed it. And they'd agreed to do street trees. They'd agreed to do some things with the facade to step it back so it wasn't quite, you know, a wall on the street. There were a lot of concessions that were asked for, and a number of them were agreed to. And that was the motion that basically came before the GTLNC, and that we approved the project with the changes. In other words, we weren't going to approve the projects as proposed, but we were going to approve it with the changes that the developer agreed to. Unfortunately, at the meeting, there was a huge opposition to the project just generally. And it got pretty clear that the proposal that had been worked out with the developer was not going to pass. And so I believe at that point, Ryan took it off the agenda. So he tabled it. And at that point, then further discussions with the people who opposed it. And so the whole notion was that, you know, we're not going to vote for this project. So the developer went back with the project as originally proposed. And that's what has gone through the city planning department. And of course, COVID has slowed everything down. The developer had to wait for the post office lease to end, and it has. So now the developer is much more actively trying to get this project through. If we can get the developer to come back and we can negotiate with the developer to get some of the concessions that we want and can get, I think that would be useful. Bluntly, if we just simply oppose the project, that has no audience, either at the city planning department or the city council. Our particular council person might be sympathetic, but I'm not sure he has any power, even as a council person, to keep this project from getting built. So, I think we need to revisit this. And if Michael's right and we have some more time to negotiate with the developers, we need to look at that. But I don't think we can keep the project from happening at some point. It might be another year, it might be 3 more years, but eventually these guys are going to build their project. They own all that real estate, and without the federal lease on the post office holding them up, I think something's going to get built there. It's not going to stay the way it is indefinitely. Anyway, that's my take on all this.
So then, just to clarify, Ren, what you just said, the concessions were negotiated, but then they all got thrown out the window because everything was tabled. So there were no concessions. There were concessions discussed and agreed upon, but
the time by the developers, but nothing ever got signed. So they never committed to any of those things.
Because I've been reviewing the city case file and I didn't see any such document. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd like to quickly address, yes, so Tess, that is, I remember this because in fact, I'll lower my hand. Everything Ren's saying, there one part, because I remember with Bob, we were there, they didn't mention Gelson's as that was who the tenant was going to be. They just said that there would be a tenant, and they talked about the expansion, within that expansive space down below. There was talk that Trader Joe's was going to expand over there. I remember that being part of is Trader Joe's going over there? The big issue too was it was about parking. We were very concerned about parking, and we were negotiating to say, hey, these are the things that we want. But also, we were also listening to the public, and there was community outcry about, this is going to destroy the view of the village. I believe that it was tabled for further discussion. They didn't come back, and then a pandemic hit, and then, now we're where we're at. But I also remember that was part of the thing about the post office, is that there was a lease, and they were sort of waiting around for it to end so that they could start moving forward as they could. And I know Bob might be able to provide further insight on that.
Yeah, I want to, can I speak? Hear me, Fred?
Fred, you muted yourself.
Sorry about that. Brandon was next, but go ahead, Bob, really quick, and Brandon, you're after Bob.
Okay, no, I would second everything that I heard from Mark and Ren. At the planning meeting, the developer was present, the consultant was present, the architect was present. They gave a very lengthy presentation. Our main concerns are, as always, was parking, because this is a TOC project, which means that you only have to provide half as many parking spaces as you normally will. So the subterranean parking will only accommodate half the tenants. So we were very concerned about what happens to the other half, and we got a concession that he would provide parking, and because he owns the whole parking lot in the rear of the development, all the way from Marietta all the way over to Clyburn. So he was going to provide parking for the tenants. We discussed the finish on the structure, stucco. There was concessions there. There was concessions for landscaping. And then we continued the discussion with him even into the parking lot, the design of the parking lot and the landscaping of the parking lot, the lighting of the parking lot. And it's a terrible eyesore back there. So any kind of a new parking lot would be a real benefit for us. I don't know why we tabled it. I don't remember why, but we did forward it it was put on the agenda for the council. And then the same people showed up and gave a lengthy presentation to the council. This is when we had the auditorium. It was overflowing with folks who were very much against this project for everything we've heard. This is the character of the village. And I don't know why we didn't vote on it. I don't remember why the council, I was not on the council at that time. I was just part of the planning committee, but I don't know why the council didn't vote on it, except besides the packed room, we had 3 representatives from the district office, and they made it clear that this project was going to happen. So I think we came to the conclusion that the only thing we can get out of this was concessions. And we worked on that rather than voting against it. As Mark says, at the presentation, it's a mixed use building. That was always from the get-go, but at 3 years ago, of course, they didn't have any tenants. And so Gelson was never mentioned. And is Michael still here? I guess he left.
No, Michael's still here. He's going to speak again as well, Michael. If you can just hold on really quick.
All right, because I have questions about his lease. I have some questions about, he mentions that he's got some support from the district, and I'd like him to expand on that.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Really quick, Brandon, can you go ahead, and then Ren can make a quick comment. We'll go back to Michael.
Okay. I don't see, I agree with Ren. I don't see why we would support a motion to not support a project that has already been approved. I think the whole reason why I'm proposing these conditions is so that way we can be a stakeholder who can be at the table and we can have concessions. That's great. I think that's what this neighborhood council should be like. And if the majority of us want to issue a statement, it needs to be specific. What does the motion is not clear to me, like in its current form. I personally want to see certain parts of this project approved in this community. And I think we need to iron out what the specifics are. I had questions, but I guess I'll, let's just see. An important question is that I don't want to make any decision without having fair representation on both. To have the applicant here, I don't think that's fair. And I'll just leave it at that. but I have more questions.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. And then we'll go to Ren really quick. I just want to say one quick thing is that, I would love to, support this. But one thing, again, for Michael, for you, when you come back on the line, what's holding me up is that a lot of the concessions and the things you say in your letter are just verbal, and there's nothing like backing it up in writing. And so that's hard for me, at least, to go off of just a verbal promise. And it would be nice to, if you had anything in writing, or like some of the other committee members said, to have the developer come back and speak to us and really make concrete what these concessions are. So that was my thing. If you could maybe address that when you come back on and speak. Thank you. Ren, floor is yours.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, remind that I think the reason it was tabled was that Ryan counted heads and realized that it would be defeated. The whole proposal and the agreement would be defeated, and we would have nothing to take to the planning department on the project. And effectively, that's what happened. We ended up with nothing on the table. I think we want to invite Ryan to be at the meeting tomorrow, because this will come up again off of our agenda, and we need to have him directly address the question.
Okay, very good. Michael, go ahead. It's your turn. You want to unmute Michael? You see if I can unmute you.
What I was asking for is not necessarily, obviously it's been approved, correct, as we all know. I'm just asking for a vote to show that even though it's approved, that this is not what's wanted here by all the different boards in the chambers. And that's what I was looking for, to gather some kind of momentum to show that this was not wanted here. And I get that it's been approved already, but in regards to, do you guys want signatures? I could have thousands of signatures from all the customers that come in here that don't want this project here. So what I was asking for was a vote to show that the neighborhood doesn't want this. And I was trying to gather all the different councils together, chambers, to show that. I don't know if that elaborates that a little bit more. I understand everything that you guys are bringing up here, but I was trying to bring the different areas together to show that it's not wanted here, even though the property owners had it approved. So I wasn't looking to overchange it or to fight that. I was just trying to show the neighborhood doesn't want it, and showing that via chamber, council, you guys.
Okay, and I agree with you, Michael. And it's my understanding that this was a by right TOC project. So even if we didn't want it, I don't think there's much we can do about it. But anyway, Tess and Robert, you're up next.
Okay, so I have a couple of things here. Let's see, where are all my notes? I have so many questions. Okay, so Michael, I understand what you're doing, and I know that there's a lot of community disgruntlement about this. I can't say that I'm thrilled personally either. What is the timeline? Here, I have several questions. What is the timeline, since this has already been approved? What is the clock ticking on anything that we need to know about? Number one. Number two, how does Patty's feel about this? Number three, has the chamber, Toluca Lake Chamber, weighed in with a letter of any kind in opposition or support to this project? With Gelson's now gone, is it possible to consider having the Trader Joe's have a presence there instead? And last, this is a general question, which may not be answerable by anyone here, but would certainly be important for the applicant. With this being a TOC designation and passed under Measure JJJ, Measure JJJ has very specific requirements regarding local hiring. And that's a very important part of having a project of this nature, that people are hired locally. So I expect that would be part of the building and safety permit. But I just want to throw that in there, because if this thing is going to go forward, we want to get every benefit that we can that is part of Measure JJJ and other laws. So I know that's a lot of questions, Michael. The most important one is timeline. What are we up against time-wise?
Okay, thank you, Tess. Rob, do you want to go, or Bob, do you want to go next?
Yeah,
Tess?
yeah, just Michael, just a few questions. You, first of all, is the restaurant yours as well? It's your namesake, so I'm assuming that that's a possibility. You mentioned Red Door, but not the restaurant, Michael's. Am I muted? No.
Michael, if can unmute.
Yeah, yes, they're both mine, yes.
They're both yours. Okay.
Yes.
So, and what's the status of the lease?
So my lease, as is everyone else's here, are month to month. So they are very wise in how they did all this. So everyone's month to month. It looks like if it goes with no hiccups, you're looking at June or July for demo, the start of demolition. And you're going to have an 18-month or 2-year build out. So you're going to have a lot of trucks in the neighborhood and all that noise and stuff. So in regards to that, Shannon, attest to you, Shannon was at the meeting at the councilman's office with me and stated her disapproval and is willing to write a letter also to state that. But she was with me for an hour and a half with the chief of staff.
Okay.
Also with the TOC, so what these guys did, and I think you guys understand that these property owners aren't from the village. They don't live in this area. So they went and submitted and got the TOC approved. And then they went and submitted and said that they made a mistake in their calculations. And once they had an agreement with Gelson's. And so the city planners, as of February 26th, said, you want to put Gelson's in, you're not going to get a TOC. It doesn't fit the parameters of the TOC, which was based on 3 businesses, commercial businesses on the bottom floor. So that was the latest as of February 26th. For anyone who hasn't caught up on that.
So that's the reason for the Gelson deal falling through, Michael?
Yeah, the reason for the Gelson's deal to fall through. Also, the Gelson's on the bottom floor would have took out all the open space, which per a TOC, you needed a certain amount of open space, which is almost the same distance and size of my patio right now. That was going to remain open. So if the Gelson was going to come in, it was going to remove all the open space. So the city planners did a second termination letter, which was the 26th, stating that that doesn't fit the TOC initiative.
Now, you mentioned you were negotiating with them for lease space, and then that was killed when they did the Gelson deal. So
Yes.
is there a possibility they'll still accommodate you with a space?
I haven't brought that up yet. I haven't seen the landlord as of yet, but that will be a discussion. And I'm hoping that his reasoning for breaking his verbal contract with me was the Gelson's. So I'm hoping now that the Gelson's has stopped, I can get it back. And I offered, even though my lease gives me first right of refusal, I said I would give up the front area, which is his big money maker, obviously, to some big commercial place that he would lease it out to, as long as I had my little red door in the back of the new building. So that was my negotiating with him, which he agreed upon. Then the Gelson's came in, then that went away. So now it may or may not come back, which I will obviously very strongly try to get to come back. Because, you know, people love that little red door in the back. It's a big part of the community.
But as you point out, it would be closed for 2, maybe even 2.5 years.
Yeah, maybe 18 months. Yep. I would put everything in
more than
storage.
18 months. Yeah, but so that you can work around that. And I sympathize with you.
I'm sorry, Robert.
Of course, but I don't see you waiting for 2 or 3 years.
No, I wouldn't wait that long. If it was 18 months, I would do it. That's okay. I could wait out 18 months for sure.
I'm working with somebody in a private home. A private home is now 2 years into the building. So these things get delayed like you won't believe.
Yeah, sure. Well, I would deal with that as it came, if that was to come.
All right. So now I want to back up a little bit. You're asking the council to vote on this. I'm assuming tomorrow night, this is what you're going to be requesting, or if it's
right,
maybe it's a motion on the agenda. I haven't seen the agenda for tomorrow night. And I have to remind you, you know, probably half of that council board was not privileged to interact with the developer and the architect. They have no knowledge of this project, probably. They're new to the board. So it's not fair to ask them to vote no on something that they know very little about, and that's been approved almost 3 years ago. I'm just setting up some reality. I don't think the neighborhood council should vote on this. And And I do sympathize with you, as I mentioned. I just think it's a point of reality that these people are not familiar enough with the project. I mean, all of us 3 years ago went through 2 presentations, had chances to negotiate, to get concessions, and half the council doesn't even know what this project is, probably in detail. They know that it's a Gelson
Right.
mixed-use 4-story building, but nothing else. So I'm just setting, I'm
Right.
sorry, it's not
But
really,
Robert,
it's just, I'm setting up for reality. I don't know what the council will do tomorrow. I'm not on the council.
no, I understand that. But
Yeah.
isn't it the job for the council members to represent the people and to learn what has gone on in the past? If they're
Yeah,
new
but-
representatives, isn't that part of their job?
It
To
is,
study
it
up and
is,
learn?
it is, Michael, but a no vote on something that's been approved by city planning. Does it have any weight anywhere? I don't know who would care.
I
If
think
you have some
everyone that lives
critical
in the
mass,
neighborhood
if you
would care
have-
very strongly that the people that represent them don't want this project. I think the public that lives here needs to know the stance of the chamber and the council and your guys' office to know where you guys stand on this, because there was never a vote. I think it's very important. People ask me all the time when they come in, what's the chamber doing? Are they for or against this? What's the council for? Are they for or against this? People have the right to know.
Well, that's
And
a
I
good
do
question.
have a publicist that's going to do a huge story on this. She's the biggest in the city and she lives in Toluca Lake and she is not happy about it. And so she wants to put this in the press and she's going to, but she wants to know what everyone's view is first before she does it. That's why I would like to get the vote. I would like to get the no vote, even though it's approved. So I can show at least the neighborhood that, hey, everyone in charge of the neighborhood is against this. It might get done. I get that. We get that. But at least we were trying to stop it from happening. And look what we did. Here's our vote. That's what I'm trying to do. And again, if those votes come together, it may sway some things, even though you guys don't think it may. There's ways of it happening.
Yeah, no,
So
I
I'm
think
just trying to
activism-
put that together.
Activism
And
works. I know that. Tell me, what did the chamber tell you? I mean,
Shannon's very much against it. She's
She is?
putting together a letter as we speak. Yes, she is, very much so. She was in the councilman's office with me for an hour and a half.
this is
sitting
Paul
with the
Kacharian
chief of staff.
with Paul's office?
Yeah, Concord, yeah. Harlow, his chief of staff. I
Michael,
was there Thursday.
Michael, in case I missed it, I don't think you mentioned, is there a timeline? Like do we have time to have, I do think it would be good to have the applicant back to either challenge, question, request concessions. So what is the timeline here to get anything at all from us?
Well, like I said, I think, according to my last conversation with the landlord, which was last week, he was here. He was saying that if it just stayed the way it was, you're looking at June or July. I am going to get a 90-day notice. So I obviously will be able to give you guys a little bit more clarification on that when I get the notice. I have not gotten it yet. So we're in March, right? Mid-March. So he is going to give me a 90-day. So that would give us a little bit more clarity of when it would begin. But according to him, June or July is what he told me.
June or July, what?
That would
That's
be,
your move?
that's when I would have to be out and they're going to, at some point start demolition.
Okay.
Okay. All right. In all fairness, there is one more person from the public. Brandon, do you want to speak now? Or you want to let the other guy from the public go first?
I'll go because
Okay, go ahead, Brandon.
Then
Dr. Heller will go next.
So this motion is also on the board's agenda, and I don't understand what the point of a committee is if you're going to just discuss this tomorrow.
Let me clarify that for you, Brandon, really quick. If we vote this down tonight, it won't be on tomorrow's.
Okay. So yeah, so I think we need to have the applicant and have more information, because it seems complicated, because I don't understand, the Gelson's piece is new information. Obviously, like even our agenda says it's about a Gelson's. So by not having that, does that mean that there needs to be a new approval, or like if it's not a TOC project, then what is it? And those were those are my comments and questions, but
Okay, thank you. And I think Brandon has got a good point that we need more information, especially from the developer to make a decision on this. And again, if we do vote this down tonight, it will not be on the agenda tomorrow. We're going
okay, thank you.
like that. But let's go to Dr. Heller. He's been waiting a long time. Dr. Heller, if you could unmute yourself, and you have the floor for 3 minutes.
Hi. First is, I guess, a question. I was in the big meeting in the auditorium a couple of years ago where the city councilman did come along with the planners. And one of the things that the city councilman was going to do was speak with the Burbank planners, because the TOC used the Burbank transit system as the explanation to get the approval. Has that been done to your knowledge? Has the city of Burbank gotten involved yet?
No, they have no business with this.
So, no, not that we know of.
Well, actually, they do have business, because the TOC used their transit system, saying that the Burbank transit system that's outside of Chipotle is the transit hub that is a major transit hub that would then allow for the TOC to be approved, even though the Burbank transit only operates for a couple hours in the morning and a few hours in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think that's, if I could just interject really quick, Dr. Heller, I think that's a mistake, because one of the requirements for TOC is that it has to be a major bus line that operates within 20 minutes or less each time. And there is a bus that does go, that's the 152, I believe, or 156, which is the Metro bus. And I can't imagine the Burbank one would have any, and if it does, I believe you, but if it runs more than 20 minutes, it doesn't count, because it has to be 20 minutes or less each stop. And then of course the distance from the place, I believe, is 500 feet or 1500 feet. I don't know the exact, but I would like to learn more about what you're saying. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, that would be very good to investigate, because it was they were using the 152 to the Burbank Chipotle.
Yeah, and even that one does not, it runs more than, it only runs every hour. So there's another bus line there as well, the 222 that goes to the Burbank Airport. Don't ask me how I know about all these bus lines, but I do.
I understand, Fred. The planners had specifically stated that the Burbank transit system was listed, and that was the reason why it would qualify. It wasn't the other ones. And as a Burbank resident who lives half a block away from that transit stop, I was able to say that it would be BS. That should not have been considered a major transit hub, and that you guys definitely have the power to be able to contest that with the city of Los Angeles, but also the city councilman, Mr. Lee, I believe his name was, he said that he was going to get Burbank involved, and that would be another help too. I will say, just as an observer, that you do need to,
by the way,
that you really should take this up to the full board tomorrow. And then I found it, each of the board members have their duty to be able to educate themselves, and they should be able to make their own decisions. I didn't think the argument that they don't know anything about it was not sound.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr. Heller. You
Hey,
can again,
Fred, if I may, on the bus lines real quick.
Of course, you can go, Michael. Yes.
Yeah. So in regard to the TOC, to qualify for a TOC, if it's not in the, if it's not within, I think it's 2,400 feet of a major transportation line, like a subway, if you use two buses, they have to be within 0.5 miles from this property where the project is going to be. And they also have to be within 15 minutes. So if someone got off one bus, they would walk to the other bus line. They'd have to be picked up within 15 minutes or it doesn't qualify. So the councilman's office is investigating currently the times of those two buses. The stops that they use are Riverside and Pass and Alameda and Pass are the two bus lines, which are both Burbank lines. One's the pink line, and I'm not sure the other line, the color of the line, but they are the two stops per this TOC.
Okay.
Riverside and Pass, yeah, and they're
That's
within
great.
15 minutes, so.
Very helpful information, Michael.
Michael, this is Bob again, and not to beat this horse, but that was something we fought an awful lot about, the definition of TOC for this project, because it really is a stretch.
Yeah.
City of Los Angeles has zoned that particular parcel as TOC. And so he proceeded, and that it does, you know, it gives him the density that he's asking for, and it gives him the right to
Right.
have half the parking that he asked for. So it was a critical part of our investigation into that. And if you have new information, or you can persuade the city that they made an error in labeling that as a TOC, that would be, because we did fight that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I do know that.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry, Robert. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just saying, that was kind of the councilman's office, what we were doing. We were looking at every single angle to see if there was something that there was a hiccup on. Obviously, the Gelsons, they tried to slide that in, and the city said no. But in regards to the bus lines, the parking, there's a covenant, all this kind of stuff was being turned upside down to see. Because the reality is, yes, like you said, if there's nothing that can be done, it goes through. But why not try to stop it? And then, at least in my case personally, obviously, everyone knows I have a big stake here. So I'm doing the best I can. If it happens, it happens. But I can't not try, at least try. I hear everyone that comes in here and how unhappy they are. So I wouldn't feel right just because of my patrons for the last 10 years, trying to help them too.
Right.
Okay, anyone else?
But if any information comes up in regards to that, I'll absolutely let you guys know.
Thank you very much, Michael. Anyone else have anything to say?
We have one buddy, Jonathan in the other room. Should I let him in or Bob?
Yeah, Jonathan hasn't spoke on this yet, so come on in. Robert, are you your hands up? Are you okay too, Robert?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't lower it. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Jonathan, go ahead.
Thanks. I listened to Michael. I listened to all of you speak. It's kind of confusing. I read the grant of TOC, which specifically it points out it's not a permit, it's not a license. So it's a little confusing to me. Everything's confusing about this because it's a 38 unit apartment building with 4 units, very extremely low income, right there at ground zero of Toluca Lake Village. It's really overwhelming. The whole idea, it's gotten this far. What I heard Michael say to you is he's looking for the council, this neighborhood council, to announce itself to the community. And I went back and looked at the meeting notes from May forward of 2019, when this was first introduced. You probably ought to consider the public relations aspect of this too, because I mean, I can't imagine a lot of the stakeholders embracing this idea. And you already know what it is. I mean, maybe all of you don't know where every window is and where every tree is going to be planted, but you know how many parking places they are. You know, it's a subterranean building. You know, there's a big chunk of the subterranean reserved for storage of the commercial. You know, there's 38 apartments, and you know exactly what corner it's all going to be on. That's a lot. It's a big chunk that you already know, and the small details are what you don't know. I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you got a public relations thing going on, because when that thing starts showing up, people are going to look at you and say, probably if they don't like it, they're going to say, what the hell is going on here? Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Well, okay, then let's go for a vote then. This is motion B.
Brandon's raised his hand, please.
Oh, Brandon. Oh, yes, of course, Brandon. I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was going to make a motion.
Okay, Brandon, go ahead.
I would like to move to table to the next regularly scheduled meeting and invite the applicant to present. And so that we could have discussion on plans and have Ryan Altoon present as well. So
I second that.
Okay, that's fine. So Brandon first. Let me just make some notes here. Please bear with me. And Tess second. And this is to table this motion to our next meeting or a future meeting.
I think to postpone until we have the applicant present.
I think that makes sense.
I agree.
Is
Which
it,
means-
does it really, why would he show up?
I think we could get some more clarification, at least, even if in writing or.
I mean, he's got an approval, which means that he can go to the building department and start pulling permits. And as we all know, the pandemic hit. Why build rental units during the pandemic? This thing should be put to bed tomorrow and not tabled till next month. I think Michael deserves an answer one way or the other tomorrow from this
Okay,
council.
I agree with
From
you,
the
Robert.
council. I'm not on the, pardon?
If I agree with you, if we were to vote this down tonight, that's our answer tonight, would even go on tomorrow. If we vote yes tonight, then it would go tomorrow, or our other option is
No,
Brandon.
I think, Michael, I don't, my comments about the current council still stand, but I think the council should address it. So without bringing in the developer all over again or the architect, and they're not gonna, I don't understand why anybody would do that.
Okay, all right.
I mean, Michael is looking for the community to say, we don't like it. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a
My
good
spiel
idea.
of why-
This is Lee. I think Michael's right. We should do that. And remember who you vote for in election time. Do not vote for Rick Caruso. He's a developer. We'll have a lot more of this. Thank you.
Okay, Brandon, back to you.
All right, why you should vote for this is to just continue to have the discussion. Yes, things are in motion, but there's questions, like it or not, the applicant is a property owner within Toluca Lake and, can discuss what will be proposed. A lot of the things that we're talking about in the conditions happens during construction. If, invite people to further the discussion just because, like, I think it's still a worthy thing to do.
They took a lot of abuse at the public meeting because everybody pretty much didn't want this. And I don't see why they would.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well, let's see. How about this? Brandon did make a motion. It has been seconded. So why don't we vote on whether we should table this or not? And then if we don't, we'll move on to.
Can I say one other thing, Fred? So Bob, you're right. The guy probably won't want to, the applicant probably won't want to come for further abuse. I can see that easily happening. If it's all the same, we should at least give him the opportunity. He can say no. And it would give our current board in its current configuration more time to educate itself on this project. So even if the applicant doesn't appear at next month's general board meeting, we can have a more informed and intelligent discussion about it. If that timeline is, and it sounds like if there's going to be a 90-day notice for Michael, that would still be in the period of time that is acceptable to him. And that way we've helped Michael and we've given the board an opportunity to educate itself, and we've given the applicant an opportunity to appear again, should he wish it or not. And that, I think, would be the best way to proceed, in my opinion.
To be clear, Tess, though, the next committee meeting, right? Not general board.
Yes, to have the
That's what you're
applicant.
agreeing to. Thank you. Okay.
Meeting.
Okay, thank you, guys. Mark's next, and then Michael after that.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear Brandon's motion again, because it might need to be fine-tuned. Brandon, can you state it again?
I move to table this item.
Postpone.
It's the same thing, but to invite the applicant and Ryan Altoon to discuss further. I think it could be just general like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was invitation, right? So that's the word I was looking for, Brandon. Thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
at the next plum committee meeting.
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Matt, you want to go next? You want to let Michael go next?
Michael could actually go next. I just have a question.
Michael, go ahead. You have your hand up?
All right, Michael.
Maybe he doesn't. He did have his hand up, but not anymore. Okay, so if Michael doesn't want to talk, Matt, you got the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to the table. So on the agenda is the motion to issue the statement that we don't support the project, right? So, and what Brandon, you're saying is we want to postpone it to the next month. I'd actually just rather vote against this. So I'm just confused about the vote, because if we want to move it to next month, I'm going to vote against that because I just like to vote on it tonight and call it a day. So that's my own thing.
You would vote no on my motion.
I'd vote no on your motion, exactly, because I'd rather just vote on it tonight.
Okay, but
So,
yeah, so we have a vote. We have a motion and a second for my motion. And if my motion fails, then someone else can make another motion for something else.
Okay, very good. So this is Brandon's motion, which is to table this TOC project until our next meeting and to invite the applicants to give more information. And
I call to vote.
okay, Ren.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a yes to table the discussion. Okay, Mark.
Yes.
Okay, Matt. Matt says no. Okay. Fred says yes to table the discussion. Ron?
No.
No. Brandon?
Yes.
Okay, and Lee? Where's Lee? Lee, can you say yes or no, to table this or not?
Affirmative, table motion.
So he says yes. Tess?
Yes, table it.
Table it. Okay, and I got one more. Ren. No, I said Ren I got already. Who am I missing?
Bob.
Brandon? No,
Bob, you
Bob.
haven't-
I'm sorry, Bob. Bob.
Okay,
Bob.
no problem. No.
Bob says no. Okay. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 yeses and 1, 2, 3 no's. So the motion carries. Okay, so we are going to table this, I guess.
Now,
Which means, I guess, for tomorrow, that's up to Colby. I guess. I don't know what's going to happen with that. We're
no.
going to table
You
this
have-
till the next meeting.
One is connected to the other, Fred. I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but if you vote to table this, then you're voting not to put it on the agenda tomorrow.
Correct. That's right.
So that's not up. So then you better clarify that with your president. You can't have.
Colby said they would just be stricken because it's already been posted.
Sorry?
I said Colby said it would be stricken since tomorrow's agenda is already posted.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. It will not be decided tomorrow.
No, it'll be stricken for tomorrow if we don't get through.
And if they don't show up next month, then it'll be another couple of months. We're just going on and on with this.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to take a stand at some point. I agree with you.
But we haven't taken a stand. We just did what the previous council and committee did. We just tabled it.
We did, based on getting more information.
But we tabled it until the next
One
plum
more
meeting,
month.
which is on
Yeah.
April
A month from now, yes.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. So that would mean the next motion about the Gelson's liquor license is
Well,
mute.
according
'Cause
to
if
Michael,
Gelson's is,
they're not going to be doing it, right? So,
there's no point in voting on that, right? We just strike that.
right.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. If that's the case, then we're back to Brandon's thing on 6.3 developer guidelines.
Just really quickly, you have two hands in both Jonathan and Michael. But
I
think
do. Okay.
we voted, so I don't know.
We already voted. I mean,
We've kind of ended the discussion there. I mean, I can give Michael a really opportunity.
You are correct. Fred, you're
Okay.
correct. Discussion ended upon the vote. We
Okay,
move on
we're
to
just
the next
going around
topic.
That's fine. Discussions in a public comment will come further in the meeting. But for this topic, discussions ended. We're back to 6.3. Brandon, we'll finish this up.
Okay. I think, Ren, did you have any last thoughts? You were the last one to say things. If not,
This is good. I think this is a good start. And, as we go forward, we'll think of things that'll come on here.
Yeah.
Hopefully it won't be because we've had a battle with a developer about some issue, but maybe,
right.
yeah.
Right, perfect. Oh, Mark, go ahead.
I'd like to move this forward with a motion to approve.
Okay, I'll second that. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Chair, I'm ready. Well, we can, unless there's
Sorry about that.
discussion.
Any discussion? Any discussion? I do see Jonathan has his hand up. I don't know if he wants to talk about this or not, but let's just see if Jonathan, no, his hand is down now. Okay, never mind. Jonathan is down.
Good.
Raise your hand. Go ahead, Tess.
Brandon, I'd be happy to just some sort of edits for brevity, but nothing substantive if you would like. But I think it's great now. Thank you.
Thank you. My idea is that it'll be seen at the board and make amendments then. I don't know, just to, yeah. But sure, feel free to have them in writing and then we can give them to Fred and that can be provided.
Okay.
To be clear though, this would not necessarily be discussed at tomorrow's meeting because it's not on the agenda. So it would be at the next board meeting. So, okay.
Okay, now we got Mark and Ren. Mark, unmute.
Yeah, just very quickly is that, again, it's an organic document and there's going to be fine tuning, right? And so, but we're approving it as is tonight. And this is great signal for the entire board to see what has been accomplished.
Very good. Thank you, Ren.
I would agree with that. And just a comment on making it briefer. Most neighborhood councils have these kind of things they've set up and conditions, and they go on for 8, 10, in one case, 26 pages. So getting it to one page, I think, is a small miracle. But I wouldn't worry about trying to condense it or make it shorter at this point. I think it's fine.
Okay, very good. Anyone else have a comment? Okay, see none, let's call for a vote. This is a motion to approve the 6.3 guidelines for developed project as is. And do we already have first and second? So Ren, how do you vote for that?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Fred, yes. Robert?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Lee? Lee says yes. Yeah. Affirmative. Okay, I can read lips now, Lee. Okay, and Tess Taylor.
Yes, congratulations on your first
Okay,
unanimous.
so the motion passes
All right.
9-0-0. Very good. Okay, moving on. 6.4 and 6.5. I'll just take those really quick unless Ren wants to talk about that. But basically, there's not much new here on the Tuke Lake Avenue. We're still trying to get a hold of the owner to invite him to our meeting to talk about building his wall on the property line, which would be 6-foot wall there on Tuke Lake Avenue. So we're just going to push that to next month too. That's no really update there. 6.5, the mobile car wash.
Or should we
You want to discuss?
solicit
Sorry, yeah,
comments?
I'm sorry. You're absolutely right. Is there any comments on the Toluca Lake Avenue project?
There are no hands.
Let me check. Anybody hands up?
No hands up. No hands
No
up.
hands up. Okay. So we should have more next month, hopefully, on that. Today's meeting's going awfully long, so I'm going to move through it. But thank you, Brandon, for reminding me of that. And if anyone sees something I'm doing wrong, just please remind me. I'm still trying to get the hang of this. Now, 6.5 mobile car wash on Riverside Drive. I don't know too much about that either since last month. I don't know if Ren has any information or if there's any discussion on the mobile car wash. But,
No, I think we need to have have their designer present to us and answer technical questions, but I think it's, we have time, so.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we will invite them to our meeting at a future date. And Brandon has his hands up.
I had trouble with the case number. I couldn't find it. It wasn't working for me.
Hold on, I got it right here. I could have misspelled it, but let me just make sure it's the right one.
And may I request, Fred, that the case numbers be hyperlinked to the case files?
Yes, I like that idea. And here we go. The case number is CA 2021-10093. Yeah, you know what? It is a typo. On the agenda, it's 2120, and it should be 2021. So it's 2120. Thanks, Brandon.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
So instead of 2120, it should be 2021. Mamma mia. Okay, thanks for pointing that out. I will make that correction.
Also, Fred, Jonathan's got his hand up as well.
Okay, go ahead, Jonathan. Thanks again, Brandon. Sorry about the mistake. All right, Jonathan.
Just a quick remark on this. In the event I'm not at the meeting, when you consider, I believe that this is an application to put a snack bar, what do you call that, a convenience store in that?
This is for car wash on Riverside.
Oh, that's what it is. Never mind then. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. And Mark, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Fred, I would appreciate if the invitation was extended to the individuals at the mobile car wash.
Of course.
I am very concerned about the noise factor, especially since it's going to be right by, I believe, Catcher in the Rye.
That's right.
And I'm very interested to see what the impact is going to be on them. I'm not so much concerned about transportation as there's a bloody car wash being put in at what is it, Vineland in Moore Park?
Yes,
I'm more interested in the impact on the business. So I would like to hear from them sooner than later.
Okay, yeah, I would like to invite them as well. And just so everybody knows, the permit in the car wash is to operate from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But still, it's awfully loud. You're absolutely right. And I share that concern. Okay, so any more discussion on that? We will invite these people to our future meeting. That is the decision on that. Okay, moving forward. We are down to 6.7 Foreman Avenue under Bridge 134 bridge parking. I'm gonna let Ren talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, given the time and we've got some things going on there, but let's wait till next month. I'll report on that. We should have some real substance hopefully by then.
Okay, thank you, Ren. You're already in 90 minutes of this meeting, so we're gonna move on to 7.1 street trees. And actually, Ren, if you want to take 7.1, 7.2, and I can come back at 7.3.
Okay, 7.1 street trees. Again, there's a real push by a broad range of neighborhood councils to really get the city up to speed on street trees. There's some policies within the building and safety that basically if a developer gets a demolition permit for a building, there's a bad habit of putting the fence all the way around, including the street trees. And then when they demolish the building, they cut down the trees. And sometimes the neighborhood people can get to the city quickly and keep that from happening, but that's the exception. And so there needs to be some real change in the way demolition permits are issued and so forth. And a number of neighborhood councils are working together to get the city to do that. So I'll bring that back next month. The state legislative agenda, of course, they're just getting started.
Wait, Ren, Bob had his hand raised.
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry. You're muted. There you
No,
go.
I can wait till you finish. And actually, I'll lower my hand. I thought you were going to get into a general discussion of trees in the city, which I would respectively ask you move to the Environment Committee with Catherine, but this is different. This is demolition, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're right. We probably should share that issue.
Yeah, they're big on that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Then the state legislative agenda, again, I won't start in on that, but it's in the early stages. A number of bills are there. And we need to work with the GAC committee with that. So the most important issues, we will either share the issue or assign to one or the other committee, but we have some things in Sacramento we need to keep an eye on. So that's it. 9 o'clock.
Very good. We're almost done, you guys. We're almost done. Hang in there. Almost done. Well, maybe we can push it to 2 hours. Okay, so next one. The website, which we can talk about this again too, but I just want to put this on because I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at our section of the website, and it's no good. First of all, the picture that's on there is from a committee for years ago, and I would love to ideally get all of us together and take a new picture. I think that would be important for us. No, really, you guys. And then the second one is, come on, you guys look good. Show yourself off. So the next one is when you go look at past agendas or minutes, if you look at this, it only has the month, and there's like 3 or 4 years. There's January, February. I would love to get our website designer just to put in, January of 2020. It's a very simple edit, but it would make much more sense, be much more organized to just do a little bit of a redesign on our website. And what kind of bothers me a little bit is that we're paying a lot of money to Apple One to have this person do this, and for that amount of money, it just shouldn't be like it is. I looked at our other websites at NoHo and Studio City, and they're much more organized than ours is, and it would be a very simple fix. Someone would spend maybe an hour to do that. No big deal at all. So that's one. And then the last one to finish this. Is it would be nice, and again, I don't know who I need to talk to with this, but if the committee chairs had access to the website, so it would be much easier to post minutes or agendas instead of having to go through 2 different people. So right now, the committee chair has to send it to Robin, and she sends it to the web person, and a lot of time gets wasted, I think, with that. So I don't know if it's possible to give access to the committee chairs where they can just post the minutes and the agendas directly and avoid some of this loss in time. So I just want to bring that up. We can talk about it further in other meetings, but I just think we should improve that a little bit. So anyway, thank you.
Fred, good news ahead. Paige Crum, the chair of the outreach committee, has finally gotten permission to do some website stuff. And this has been a common complaint of mine. In fact, somebody tried to get the agenda tonight, and since they came to the website after the meeting had started, it had disappeared. This has been going on for years. Finally, it's getting fixed. And I agree with everything you've said. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, you guys. Any more discussion on that, or we'll talk about it later too? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to past meeting minutes, section 8, and do I have a motion to approve the Greater Toluca Lake Neighborhood Council June 14th, 2021 committee minutes. I have a first, and then we'll do this.
Ren,
Okay, Ren first, and then we'll do discussion, right? So Ren is first, or second.
Second.
Second is, who's that? Mark, was that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, okay, Mark, okay. And then let's have discussion. Mark, you had your hand raised?
No, I was just making a motion.
Oh, you were, okay, terrific. Okay, so Brandon has his hand up. So Brandon, do you have a comment?
One just editorial change. This is for June, right? Colby was excused in the shoot, now I have to pull it up. The attendance didn't match the motion that we took, and I just wanted it to be consistent. The attendance, Colby was excused, but it shows that he voted for the minutes, and it should just be excused. Motion A.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, which minutes are you talking about?
We're talking about June's minutes. And in committee members, it shows that Colby was written as excused, EX, and then in minutes, motion A, Colby has an X next to it, when it should just be excused, no? Because he wasn't there, right?
Okay, I'll make that change.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you, Brandon. Brandon, you're so good at pointing all this stuff out. Thank you so much for that. I want to know what I'd do without you. Ren, so I guess if we make the change, then we can approve with modifications.
Yes.
Okay. So here we are. Motion D, I'll read it once again. Approve revised GTLNC June 14th, 2021 Plum Committee minutes with modifications. Do I have a first? Or actually, I already have a first. Ren, I already have a first and second. Sorry. Ren, how do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Mark?
Yes.
Yes. Matt?
Yes.
Yes. Fred? Yes. Robert?
Yes.
Brandon?
Yes.
Ron? Ron is there. If you can unmute yourself. Yes.
All right. Yes.
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 And Mr. Lee, how do you vote? Yes.
Affirmative.
Affirmative. Thank you, Lee. And Tess?
I'm going to abstain because the meeting minutes that I'm looking at are labeled June, but they say May. Abstain.
Okay. Is that true for everybody else? Did it says May or June?
The meeting minutes that I have are labeled 2021-06-14 planning and land use meeting minutes. So I'm just going to abstain.
Okay, if it does say May on that, can we also make that change, Ren, to change it to June if it says May? Ren, you're muted.
Unmute me. Ren, you're muted.
You're muted. Unmute, Ren.
I'll look back and see if it needs to be changed to May, to June. But
okay. All right.
The one I'm
Okay, very
looking
good.
at says June. That's the one that Fred sent, right?
See
Should
that.
be, anyone else see this?
I don't know.
Okay, you know what, Fred? I have an older copy from before. You resent everything. So anyway, at this point.
Yeah, we tried to revise it and correct whatever errors were there.
Okay, okay.
It's still gonna pass, but.
Yeah, I mean, just go ahead and let it pass at this point because
Right. You abstain still?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, so we have 801. The motion carries. Thank you. Last item here is right here, motion E. Approve revised GTLNC August 9th, 2021 committee minutes. Do I have a first? Lee is first. I have a second.
Yes.
I have, who says yes?
I'll do it.
Bob. Okay, Mr. Bob. And any discussion? Brandon has his hands up.
Okay, again, not substantive, but Bob, Colby, Ron were absent, and it didn't match the action. No, the minutes, motion A showed that they were absent. But on top of the minutes, it shows that they were there, unless they left early. It just wasn't consistent. But again, it's not substantial. Or
Yeah,
it's just,
I'll go back and check it and make it consistent.
okay.
Thank you again, Brandon. Okay, so
No, actually, I think Brandon is right about that. If I'm not mistaken, Colby left early on that.
Okay.
meeting.
Then never mind. I'll shut up. They left.
here's mine.
No, I didn't leave.
No, Lee was there.
No, Ron did not leave.
No, it was
We
Colby.
never said you did, Ron.
I thought he mentioned my name.
I did, but
He mentioned my name.
That was Colby. Okay.
okay. Yeah, it just didn't. It looks like 3 people left when we voted on motion A. So I'll
And Ron was there for the record.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, but Ron's always here. Ron's never absent. Okay, so let's take a vote then. We'll start with Ren
Yes.
and Mark,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Fred, yes, Robert,
Yes.
Brandon,
yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Lee. Mr. Lee, yes or no?
Yes.
Lee? Yes. Affirmative? I guess so. Tess?
I have noticed an error that is rather substantive, I think. I apologize. Motion A regarding the Weddington Golf and Tennis Cultural Heritage designation. The vote reads 4-3-3, but I only see 2 no's. So I do know that the motion passed, but the record of who voted does not correspond with the numbers of who voted.
Yeah,
There-
Tess is right. There should only be 9 total. So I think it was 4-2. I think it was 4-2-3.
Yeah, and it says 4-3-3.
Yeah, so it's 4-2-3.
Okay, Ren got that. Okay. Tell me when you guys are ready.
Ready.
Okay, so Tess, how do you vote?
I approve with that change.
So approve with change, okay? Okay, so that vote is 9-0-0, motion carries.
Yes, Fred, I should say I approve with the correction, not the change.
With the correction.
Yes.
Right, Tess corrected me with the corrections.
Okay.
All right, gotta have some fun in these meetings. Hey, Lee, I like your C-130 in the background. Pretty cool plane from the ceiling. But anyway, enough of that. Yeah, there's the great plane Lockheed made. Okay, so we're at the end of the meeting and it's 9:18, and I will see some of you guys tomorrow night and the rest of you guys next month on April 11th at 6:30. It was a pleasure seeing all your beautiful faces again, and let's make some more work and better our community.
Well done, everybody. Good
Hey,
night.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Bye.
So Fred, do I just stop recording?
I think so. Yeah, just exit out and
Okay.
out.